Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com. Ciao, everybody, and welcome to Past the Wire TV. I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but the Kentucky Derby horses by the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns turned out to be really popular. I got an abundance of requests to do the Oaks. So we're going to do the Oaks the same way, a rundown of the Kentucky Oaks Fillies according to my view and interpretation of the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns. And again, like we said for the Derby show, it's all about the patterns, not necessarily the numbers. Somebody sent me a message, well, don't you just look at who ran the fastest number and know who is the fastest horse? And the answer to that is no, absolutely not. It's about the patterns. That is the kind of equivalent of learning the bar chords to Smoke on the Water and thinking you know how to play the guitar. Not the case. So sit back. We're going to do the Oaks, see what we come up with, see how the numbers and the patterns look up, and we'll see where we land. Hang tight. Before we get to the Thorograph Numbers and Patterns on the Oaks Fillies, I just want to say a little something about the draw. We had the draw for the Derby and the Oaks yesterday. The past performances are out. That's always nice when they come out early. We all kind of love that. And sometime late this afternoon, I'll probably be going into hibernation until our seminar on Thursday night, which we will be prepared for. There are still spots available. Deep dive, join in. We'll definitely be taking some major swings. It'll definitely be a leg up and interesting. And, we got a lot of our steady people there. Hopefully we'll get some new people and you kind of get acquainted with what we do and how we do it. The draw, in my opinion, this year in particular, I usually put a lot of weight in the draw in certain types of races and on certain tracks and certain distances. Example, last year, Keeneland, Breeders' Cup, draw very important in certain races. Santa Anita, same thing. But this year, as far as the Derby goes, the horse that drew the dreaded rail, which is not as dreaded as it used to be, since they got the new gate, but the dreaded rail, the horse that drew the rail really didn't, in my opinion, figure very live and prominent anyway. So I don't think it's going to hurt him that much. I don't think the draw this year with where the speed is, and I think there's not a lot to read into there. I'm not too worried about the draw adversely affecting anybody as long as they come out of the gate running and get a good jump and break okay. If not, then really, if you don't break well, it doesn't matter where in that gate you are. It's going to be a factor, and not a positive one, a negative one. So the draw, not much to worry about this year, a lot more so than others. So I wouldn't let the draw take me away from anybody that I landed on, and I wouldn't let the draw make me upgrade anybody that I didn't necessarily land on. So I wouldn't worry too much about the draw. The pace we'll go into on the seminar. The pace, I think, this year is very, very interesting. there's a horse that's somewhat under the radar that I think can certainly go wide or wire. I think the wise guy horse or hot horse is going to be the Japanese horse from Dubai, Derma Sotogake. I think he's going to take a lot of money. I saw one work of his that I really liked a lot. Saw another one that I didn't like that much, but I think he's going to take a lot of money. But we'll get into all of that on the seminar. That's Derby Talk. We're here to talk fillies and the Oaks and Thorograph patterns and numbers, and see who looks like they're coming up to the race in the right way. So we'll be back in a minute with that.
Tracking trips with Pick 6 King John Stetton. It's one of the best tools in horse racing for any level of player. It's your second set of eyes, spotting troubled trips, betting angles, track trends, horses to watch and favorites to fade, 10 figs, ticket structure, and more. At Tracking Trips, you're a friend with benefits. Not a member? You must hate winning money. Join Tracking Trips now. Visit pastthewire.com and we'll see you in the winner's circle. Remember, nobody does it better.
By Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
Well, it's that time of year so many of us love, Derby time, Oaks time, Breeders' Cup time, Saratoga, Delmar time. We love this time of year. I'm no different than most of you. If you didn't feel that way, you probably wouldn't be watching this show. First off, thank you everybody that watched the Derby show. Appreciate all the love and support we got on that one. Means a lot. I appreciate all of you. Got a lot of messages, a lot of interaction with people. Like I said during that show, reach out, email, contact, message, whatever. Even in the comments, I get back to everybody. Had several conversations with people just that watched that show. Several more I'll try and get to this week, even though this is a tough week. I'll get everybody in, and we'll get to this Oaks now. Historically, and this year is no exception, the fillies are a little bit slower, according to the Thorograph numbers. Now, remember, we're talking, this is a show all about Thorograph. And if you want to know more about Thorograph, which I encourage, Thorograph.com, they've got great tutorials, great information about their product, which, like I said, I've used for years. That's where you can check out even more. And if you do that and have questions, absolutely feel free to reach out. But historically, the fillies are a little bit slower than the colts at this time of year when we're talking about the 3-year-olds on the Thorograph numbers. It's always been that way. I haven't studied it and I don't have a graph or anything to refer to, but historically it has been that way. And it's that way this year for sure. So that being said, we see a little bit, slower or higher numbers than we do with the boys. That said, the fillies also have a tendency to make bigger jumps forward. They'll jump 5, 6, 7 points forward like nothing. And they'll also have a tendency to get good, stay good, less likely sometimes to see a regression or a bounce. But when you do, a lot of times with the colts, they can bounce or regress 2 or 3 points, still win. Usually with the fillies, they regress, bang, and it's you know, more drastic moves we see up and down. So just something to keep in mind. Affirmative Lady, Grand Motions Philly. We're not going to go in any necessary order. I get the Oaks and Derby Thorograph numbers early because I just like to start dissecting those two races as early as I can. So I'm going in the order that they are, I guess, points or whatever it is here, not necessarily post position draw, but that doesn't really matter because we're not talking about posts. Affirmative Lady has a nice pattern as a 2-year-old, 14, 12, 8, steady improvement. She was running in stakes while still a maiden. That's a sign of confidence from a relatively conservative guy like Grand Motion. So I view that as a positive. As a 3-year-old, she went 10, 12, 10, 3, 12, 8.2. So she took 2 starts. On her 3rd start, she equaled her best 2-year-old number. Like we said on the Derby show, good horses, I like them to run faster in their first start at 3 on the Thorograph than they have ever run at 2. This filly didn't do that. She finally equaled it. Is she on the improve? I'm not so sure. Her last race was a good race. If she improves, she's eligible, but you know, she's interesting. On Thorograph, I don't like her that much. On the past performances, I do like her. And we talked a little bit about that, and how, in my opinion, buyers can be deceiving. I think the best example of that is Practical Move, who got a faster buyer than Skinner and Mandarin Hero, but a slower Thorograph number than both of those horses. An angle we talked in depth, well, pretty in depth about on the other show, which I encourage you to listen to that because that is one of my favorite angles. So Affirmative Lady, you know, like I said, I like her more on the past performances than I do on Thorograph. So I'm not sold. And Tell Me No Lies. This horse, Philly, has a very steady improving pattern and one of the better patterns in the race. Particularly fast, no, but a lot of starts and a lot of gradual improvement. 16-2, 13-1, 10-1, 10, 9-2 as a 2-year-old. Comes back as a 3-year-old, 9-2, equals, doesn't pass, but equals the best 2-year-old number. So we kind of give her a little bit of pass for that. And then next time out, 8.2 goes forward and betters it. So she's really hadn't taken a step backwards yet. She's just steadily gone forward. Like the pattern a lot on And Tell Me No Lies, and that is not a lie. Botanical's a tough horse to read. Why? Obvious. Never been on the dirt. All synthetic races. I think 1 turf race. Pattern wise, everything wise. You know, other than the dirt question mark. Interesting filly. Brad Cox's other filly. She's by Medaglia de Oro out of a Blame mare. Nothing that says she won't like the dirt. Has speed, nothing wrong with speed. Slow as a 2-year-old for this kind of company, 18-2, 16, 12, but improving. Drastic improvement in the 3-year-old campaign where she comes out with an 11 all over the synthetic at Turfway, 11, 7, 6.2. So that's 7 and 6.2, those last 2 races, getting faster and progressing gradual. I like gradual progression as opposed to monstrous or several point progression, because it indicates to me more often than not another forward move. And we're looking for those forward moves, not those regressions. That's to me what it's all about. 2 things. We're not looking for per se the fastest horse to date. We're looking for the fastest horse on Saturday or Friday. So, you know, we're looking for progression. We're looking for horses too slow. So it's not exactly like looking at the past performances the way I use the Thorograph. But this horse, like and Tell Me No Lies, has a very, very positive pattern. The dirt is the question mark. Over the years, a personal thing I'll share, I'm not afraid to bet horses confidently on changes of surface if I believe they're bred for it and or will handle it or are working well over it. First time turfers, love them. First time dirt, you know, Bobby Frankel, Skimming comes to mind. I think Skimming won the Pacific Classic in his first start on the dirt ever. Bet that horse a lot. I remember, and a lot of you old time New Yorkers, because it was, you know, pre-simulcasting, will remember that, a whole glowing tribute, wild applause, that whole line of females from Rokeby Stables that just all were lawn mowers. Every time one of them hit the grass for the first time, bang, bang, bang. You know, I'm not afraid of that. So the fact that Botanical has never run on the dirt doesn't scare me that much. There are some other question marks I have about her, but we'll get into more of that on the seminar. Defining Purpose, another one with a good pattern, 14, 13, 11, 3, 10, 1, 8, comes back, equals it, 8, comes back again, equals it, 8 again as a 3-year-old, then a 5.1. That's one of the faster races here. She going to repeat that? I don't know. You know, she paired the 8s, then she went to the new top. Now off that new top, see, it's not that simple. What is she going to do? I think she might have peaked too early last time. 8, 8, 5.1. Can she repeat that or regress? More likely regress than go forward again. Could be wrong, but that's kind of how I see it. I would have rather have seen, you know, a gradual progression, you know, 8, 7, and then 6, or then, you know, 8, 8, 5. You know, now I see she may go back to the 6, 7, or 8, and I don't think that's going to be good enough to win. I think you need to run a 5 or better to win the Oaks. Darth Vader, questionable pattern to me, but we'll go over it, and I'll give you my thoughts after we go over the numbers. 26-1 slow race, first time out, 17-3, 13-2, 13-2, bang, in December as a 2-year-old runs a 7-1, so made that big jump forward. Okay, so off the big jump forward from 13 to a 7-1 from November to December as a 2-year-old, she regressed. She goes forward. She comes back first time as a 3-year-old in January, so it's only a month off. She regresses off the 7-1 to a 17-3. The 7-1 race was at Tampa, so the 17-3 is not because she moved to Tampa and didn't like it. She regressed off the fast race. She comes back at Gulfstream in that stake. I think that was on Fountain of Youth Day, if memory serves correct. I was there. She runs a big race and runs a new top, runs a 4. Comes back, regresses, 7.3. So the 2 times she ran a new top and made a big jump forward, she regressed. Now she's in a position where she go either way, forward again, or stay the same. You know, she regressed already, so she's probably not going to regress again. She'll probably, if anything, probably stay where she's at, or maybe bounce back. I tend to think, and this is where your handicapping comes in, that she'll either stay the same or you know, very similar, not go forward again, because I think she's running against better horses at a distance that might not be her best game. So if this was a 7-furlong race against lesser company, I'd say, yeah, she's very eligible to go forward. But under these conditions, I'm going to say no to Darth Vader, who's got a very fluctuating pattern and has, you know, shown regresses off the big races in the past. Flying Connection as a 2-year-old, we got 18-1, 17-1, 12-3, 11-2. Like It as a 2-year-old. Comes back as a 3-year-old. This is all Sunland Park. 13-3, 6-1, 9. So doesn't beat the best 2-year-old number first time at 3. That's a knock. Goes forward next time out, runs a new top, 6-1, regresses off that to a 9. Don't like it. Might have peaked too soon. Not my kind of pattern. Gambling Girl, interesting pattern. Certainly an improving pattern, and can improve enough to be right in the thick of this if she goes forward, and it looks like she will. We've got 16-1, 15-3, 14-10, 14-2, 10 as a 2-year-old. So she hits a new top, regresses, then hits that top again. I like that. Comes back, first time 3-year-old. She doesn't go past the number. She goes 11-1. Okay. But since then, steady improvement, 11-1, 9, 7-2. So she almost, was 1.1 point away from her best first time out, but maybe there was a reason for that. Don't know. It wasn't a big layoff. It was from December to January, so it wasn't a big layoff. But the progression as a 3-year-old is nice. 11-1, 9, 7. Can definitely see her jumping forward to a 5, maybe even a 4. I think that puts her right square in the race, and it is Todd Pletcher. So, he always, gets respect, as he should. Who's Your Filly is a filly who just doesn't seem to have gone forward as a 3-year-old. They were counting her as a really, really good thing. Hasn't shown to be the case. She was fast at 2, faster than a lot of these. 8-2 first time out, 9, then a 7. So not really a steady, going the right way, steadily kind of pattern, but a fast filly just the same. Comes back, trouble trip, first time out at Fairgrounds, runs a 9 anyway, but then with no excuse, regresses to a 12. Not coming in the right way, not coming in with the right kind of Thorograph pattern. Julia Shining, I believe she's on the Alsos. I'm not sure why. I guess points, but first time out 8, second time out 8. So she pairs 8s. Pretty good for these 2-year-old fillies this year. As a 2-year-old, from October to December, comes back. Goes past the number, 7.2 at Tampa, then at Keeneland, 4.3. So she's got a great pattern, 8, 7.2, 4.3. 4.3 is a contender. Forward off the 4.3 is a major contender. Square in the middle of this, another Pletcher horse. So Pletcher's sitting with a strong hand both days. She's by Curlin at a Dreaming of Julia. Dreaming of Julia, I remember very, very well because, and we'll only go, Dreaming of Julia, I believe at the time that she won in Florida, heading into the Oaks, run like the fastest Thorograph number ever, or something 6 negative, 7 negative, a ridiculously fast number, was an absolute scream, bounce, regress, can't better, use her no way, no how. Backed into Princess of Silmar in the Oaks. She won at a big price, had her, made a lot of money that day. Now, in defense of Dreaming of Julia, we beat her that day, and I was all over Princess of Silmar, counting on the bounce of regression. Dreaming of Julia did come out of the gate bad in the Oaks that year. So that certainly had something to do with it. But I still think she was sitting on a major regression off that monstrous number that she got. I don't remember what it is. Some of you might, but it was a major score for me, capitalizing on a Thorograph angle and scenario. So they're out there, and you just got to find them and learn how to read the cards the right way. So Julia Shining, unlike Dreaming of Julia, is heading into the Oaks in the the right way with a fantastic pattern. Mimi Kakushi, UAE horse. Yeah, everybody's talking about the Dermasotogake horse coming from Dubai in the Derby. A lot of people think he's the speed of the race. I necessarily don't think so. I think there's another rider that's got the key to that in his hands if he wants to use it. But that's Derby talk. Sticking to the Oaks. I don't know. I like this horse. She catches my eye on the form and on the thoroughgraphs. But we all know that UAE Derby has never even had a horse that hit the board in the Oaks. And I've been in the Derby rather. I've been roped into a few of these UAE horses running in the Oaks in the past. Pletcher had one a couple of years ago that I liked, didn't run a step. So, you know, I don't know. I'm going to be a little cautious with her, but pattern wise, 17-2, 14-3, 9-3, all at Meydan in Dubai as a 2-year-old. Comes back 8.2, 8.1. Mikel Barcelona is coming to ride her. Big fan of the way that guy rides. He's a very, very, very savvy, good, excellent rider. I'm sure he'd love to win the Oaks here in the United States. Rides primarily in France and all over the world, but rides primarily in France and is an excellent, excellent rider. You know, those paired eights, we've talked about paired numbers. Paired eights tells me she's probably going to go forward. You know, 5, 4 puts her right in it. You know, on the rail, she drew the rail. Speed, you know, the rail in the Oaks and the rail in the Derby are two completely different animals. So, you know, they're as different as fillies and colts. So that doesn't sway me whatsoever. I'm going to look long and hard at her. We'll see. Pretty Mischievous. Excellent pattern. 11, 11, 12, 10. As a 2-year-old, consistent. Another one, pairs 2 fast races, 4.2, 4.2. Her 2 races at 3. Both at the fairgrounds. Now, here's another one opposite of earlier. Like her on Thorograph, don't like her in the past performances. That's just me. But on you know, patterns and numbers alone, she's got a great pattern coming in. No question about it. Pretty Mischievous, absolutely. Promishier America, 21 as a 2-year-old. That's nothing to write home about. As a 3-year-old, 12.1, 10, 6.3. Looks to me, despite the steady progression, the 10 to a 6.3 was a big jump. New top, might have peaked too soon. Looks like we'll regress off that big race. Punch Bowl is fast. Punch Bowl is fast, no doubt about it. Don't love the pattern, but she's fast. 7 in the mud, 5.2, 6.1. I would have rather have seen her equal to 5.2 and not you know, revert to a 6.1, but it's not that far off and it's somewhat consistent. 7, 5.2, 6.1. She's a little light on seasoning, but she's fast. So if you can get around the seasoning issue, she's fast enough to be competitive. South Lawn, okay, really improved last time, but let's go over her pattern. And she went 19, 3, 17, 14, 3, regressed to an 18, 3. So she shows 1 regression off a new top, comes back to a 15, 1. 3-year-old, 7.2 to a 4. Okay. Significant enough move forward to me. And when we look at the 14 So she went from a 17 to a 14-3 as a 2-year-old, regressed to an 18, 7 to a 4 as a 3-year-old. Looks to me like she may regress off the race. So her pattern signifies to me regression, and she's probably going to be a hot horse, if not a wise guy horse, take a lot of money, but not for me. Don't like the pattern. Taxed 16-1, 17-13-1, 13 as a 2-year-old, comes back, goes well past the number, which I like, 7, 10.27. So she's kind of like got a Z pattern as a 3-year-old. You know, we're looking at patterns. So what does her pattern say? Her pattern says another regression. And even if she equals the 7, doesn't look like she's going to go forward. But if she equals the 7 or runs around that, probably not going to be fast enough to win. The alleys look 14-3, 22-1, 10-2, 10. Like how she closed out her 2-year-old season. Comes back 6.1, 5.1. Gets my attention. Forward moving pattern, gradual forward, gradual progression. Looks like she'll go forward again. The 5.1 puts her right in the mix. Forward off that number puts her really right in the mix. Wet paint. Wet paint, in my opinion, is absolutely the horse to beat. Most likely way she gets beat is beat by herself, just by leaving herself too much to do, because she comes from pretty far out of it and has been able to overcome that at Oaklawn, which is not a very easy track, especially in the short finish races, to come from that far out of it and win. And she's been able to do that. Pattern wise, no knocks. 16-3, 10-3, pairs 10-3s, closing out her 2-year-old campaign. Comes back as a 3-year-old, goes forward. 7, 6.3, 4 last time out at Oaklawn Park. 7, 6.3, 4. 1 point, 2 points forward, another point forward. She runs a 3 or goes 2 points forward over 2, then races for second. You know, unless somebody really jumps up and runs big, or she just gives herself just too much to do, which is always possible. It may rain a little bit on Friday, they're talking about. She has handled the wet track, so that shouldn't really hinder her, but she's the one to beat. She's going to be the favorite. She's the legitimate favorite in my book, and probably the most likely winner of the Kentucky Oaks. Wonder Wheel, 2-year-old champ, 12, 7.1, 7, 9.3, 7, winning the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland in November. Comes back at Tampa, gets beat on the wire in a race that she probably should have won, equals her best 2-year-old number, which she ran 3 times at 2. She ran the 7 3 times at 2, equals it, doesn't win the race, but equals the number. Then regresses to a 9. Don't like the regression of just equaling that number in a race that she coulda, woulda, shoulda won, and didn't. Last race didn't look good at all. Just looks like a filly who might not be going the right way at this particular time. So don't like the pattern, don't like the regression, don't like the last race. So she's you know, not one that I like on a pattern. So that's that. That's pretty much the Kentucky Oaks field. We'll take a quick break, and I will be back with some closing thoughts. Okay, before we get to the closing thoughts, real quick, to the one or two people that commented about the ads and the commercials on the video, that's what I got to say. The ads, I turned down a lot of them. Game of Silks, great. If you don't know what Game of Silks is, you should. A lot of fun, money to be made, exciting, new thing, metaverse. You have no idea what's happening at Game of Silks. If you did, you wouldn't criticize it. A phenomenal, phenomenal platform. Silks.io, check them out. You will love it. Tracking trips, great tool. Seminar, phenomenal. Spendthrift Farm, if you've ever been there, nothing like it. I visited all those stallions. I've hand-fed grass into Mischief. Love Spendthrift Farm, love their stallions, love their approach. Big supporters of Past the Wire. Got to put them on there. Formulator, phenomenal tool. Thorograph, phenomenal tool. If you're not using Formulator, you're not giving yourself the best shot. Amwager, great ADW. Don't criticize my commercials. I turn down a lot. I only put on class ones that I believe in, that I like the people, that I get along with, and that I support, and that support Past the Wire. So there you have it. Final thoughts in a second.
And they're off in the Curlin Florida Derby. After 3 quarters in 112-1, Known Agenda is now on to take over the lead. It's Known Agenda for St. Elias Stable. Florida Derby winner, Known Agenda.
Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
The Oaks is a lot less complicated, in my opinion, than the Kentucky Derby this year and most years. I think the race, I would love to get around it, but it is what it is. I think the race goes through wet paint, and it comes down to whether or not she's got too much to do and can close. I'm not so much worried about the pace as I am about the track. She'll be a game time decision probably for me as to how I handle her. I want to see if the track is fair and level and playing, good for closers. And a lot of times when Churchill gets wet and muddy, it can go either way. It can go speed favoring, or sometimes you get that, muddy, crown of the track, closers kind of track, where they're just coming from off the pace and get up. And I think that will have a big influence on how I handle wet paint. I don't like the Oaks Derby double. A lot of people make that bet a lot. I look at it every year, and every year it's always coming back. A lot of the horses less than I think it should be. So I think the last time I bet the Oaks Derby double was when Lemons Forever won the Oaks at a big price, and Barbaro won the Derby. Double paid $800 and something. I think I had it for $40 or something like that. I liked Lemons Forever. I was alive with a bunch of horses. One of them was Todd's horse, Bluegrass Cat, that ran second. That was even maybe 10 times what Lemons Forever, what Barbaro was, but obviously nobody was going to beat Barbaro. But that was then, this is now. So there are a couple of other horses that we talked about that have very, very live, exciting patterns heading into the race. So if the track is not playing to wet paint's strength, then there's definitely a couple of other horses that Thorograph screams look at and potentially use. So that's how the patterns and numbers for the Kentucky Oaks Fillies shape up according to Thorograph, according to the way that I look at it and I use it. If you've got a different view, always go with your own opinion, always go with your own view. Our seminar, we're going to give out a lot of selections, a lot of plays, a lot of big swings, but it's a second set of eyes and another opinion. And you know, you join the seminar, you don't need to bet what I'm betting. I'm just going to share my philosophy, my plays against, my strategies, and you know, my analysis. We're going to cover, I believe, the last 4 races on Friday, closing with the Oaks, and well, they're not last 4, the pick 4 closing with the Oaks on Friday, and the pick 4 closing with the Derby on Saturday. So that's 8 races. If you missed the live version, there is a replay, so you know, no worries there. And we're going to take some swings. That's the whole key. If you listen to the interview I did on the Bet with the Best podcast with Chris Larney, you'll see that that's you know, that's my philosophy, and that's not something that we're going to deviate from for this day or any other. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment, reach out with a question, subscribe to Pass the Wire TV. Tons of great content. And if you go back and look at some of our interviews, even the Breeders' Cup interviews we did, my conversation with Mike Rapoli, some old classics with Lafitte Pincay, Ron Turcotte, talking about things that have never been discussed publicly. One of my favorites is Paulo Lobo a couple of years ago when he first got back into training. Phenomenal, just some phenomenal shows back there on the one-on-one interviews in the quote Rogues Gallery. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Time to almost time to hibernate, get ready for the seminar, and ready for a big Friday and Saturday. Maybe to the Track and Trip members, we'll pad the bankroll a little bit in these couple of days leading up to the big weekend. We'll see how that shapes up, and grazie, ciao for now. Nobody does it better.